Yo, 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 it's your boy, Chef AT. We are back again with another edition of Greenhouse Cooks. Today, we're going to be making a vegan General Tso Chicken using oyster mushroom. So we can go over our recipe list here. We have flaxseed meal, we have flour, we have silk almond milk, we have garlic and onion powder, black pepper, ginger powder, we have salt, apple cider vinegar, our General Tso sauce. We also have jasmine rice, bean sprouts, broccoli, white onion, sweet peppers, as well as jalapeno. We have our, of course, oyster mushroom. As you see here, I'm going to get my chicken bites, which are my, of course, mushrooms. Cut here. I'm going to leave them fairly large. They're going to shrink down in the fry, as well as you might lose a few pieces in the rinse and batter. Once you've got your oyster mushrooms cut, we're going to give them a rinse. These are after the rinse. You can see they're a little more worn. They look more like torn pieces of chicken, to me at least. Next thing we're going to do is get our vegetables sauteing in our skillet here, as well as getting our oil warm for our oyster mushrooms. So once we have a warm skillet, we're going to go ahead and start to saute our vegetables and also add our seasonings. Our onion powder, garlic powder, and ginger powder, and a bit of salt. Once all of our seasonings are added in, we're going to give this a nice stir. We're going to turn our heat down, and we're just going to let these vegetables simmer on a low heat setting. Once they've cooked down quite a bit, you can go ahead and add in your bean sprouts. I personally like my bean sprouts to have a little bit of a crunch, so I like to add them in last and mostly fold them in to warm vegetables. So now we're going to get started on our batters. We have our wet batter here. We're going to start with our vegan buttermilk with 1 cup almond milk and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to give that a nice stir. If you have the sweetened almond milk like I do, I suggest you use 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Now for our dry batter, we're just going to add in 2 cups of flour here to our larger bowl. For our wet batter, we're going to grab a smaller bowl and we're just going to add 1 cup of flour to that. Then we're going to take our buttermilk, mix it in thoroughly to our 1 cup of flour. You want to mix it until it's a nice fluffy consistency, almost like a pancake batter. Now we're going to add a few more seasonings. I have a teaspoon of ginger, teaspoon of black pepper, teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of garlic powder. Give that a nice whisk, mixing it thoroughly until all those seasonings are blended. Back to our dry batter. We're going to put 3 tablespoons of our flaxseed meal. We're going to put 1 teaspoon of pepper and 2 teaspoons of salt. And we're just going to give that a nice blend as well. Now we're going to get our batter station set up and we're going to batter some oyster mushrooms. First, you want to get them tossed in our wet batter. We're going to go to our dry batter. And then you want to have a sheet where you sit them. You want to try to make sure you're not stacking these because they can get really sticky and you don't want to lose any batter from any of your oyster mushrooms. You want to even coat all the way around. We're going to get our tray filled up here. And once we get to the ends of these smaller pieces, you can put most of those in the pan. I like to do our big pieces first because they take up a lot of batter. But we're going to get these smaller pieces tossed and we're going to get to frying. Now we have our oyster mushrooms nice and battered. You can see them. They are fully covered from top to bottom. I think they're ready and we're ready to hit some oil. So since we turned this oil on a bit earlier, it should be nice and ready to go for a fry. And it is. So for these mushrooms, you definitely want to fry them in hot enough oil so that they get crispy enough. So when you sauce them, that they remain crispy. Mushrooms tend to have a chewy consistency, so you want to make sure you're frying these long enough as well. I could recommend 8 to 10 minutes each batch that you fry. You want to fry them until they're light brown and crispy, as you see here. And as any fried food, once they're out of the fryer, we want to sprinkle a little bit of salt on top of them. Now that our oyster mushrooms are done, we can go ahead and get our sauce ready on top of our vegetables. We're going to get our General Tso right in there. Now that our sauce is in and cooking, we're going to go ahead and add in our mushroom pieces. Once you have all your mushrooms added into your pan, we're going to go ahead and get those tossed. You're making sure you get those nice and sauced from top to bottom, not missing 1 inch. Once your mushrooms are nice and sauced, we're going to go ahead and get our rice going. We're going to place a little bit of water in our sauce pan here, and we're going to add our rice and just warm it up. Uncle Ben's is nice and simple. The jasmine rice, I love to use it. Once that rice is hot, we are ready to serve, and you can start building your dishes. Guys, this recipe is absolutely amazing. My wife recommended it, and I had to figure out how we can do it for her. I like to say that she was definitely satisfied, and I was as well. This is definitely one to add to the recipe books. In my opinion, if you have a non-vegan family, this recipe would be great as well. Last but definitely not least, we're going to top with some scallions. If you've liked this video today, please like it, subscribe to the channel, please leave comments below. Let me know what you think. You guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Peace.